We are learning the Midah HaChes of יכבוש עונותינו. And here, Devorah says, let's review. Harei HaKadosh Baruch Hu misnaig im Yisrael b'midah zeh. יכבוש עונותינו means he conquers, or we said last time, he stifles, he bonsais, he pickles, stifles the growth of our averos. And here the Torah used a lashon which I don't recall that he used before in this sefer. V'hi soid kvishas ha'avon. There's a thing called the sod. This is the secret of kvishas ha'avon. So we're going to have a gilui soid here. Soid kvishas ha'avon. And the secret is like this. Ki hinei ha-mitzvah hi keparachas ol sanitza. These were the words. Let's review the words. That a mitzvah is like a plant which sprouts and begins to grow. Ubokeya va'ola, and it breaks through the shamayim. Ad ein tachlis lichnois lefanav. Ad ein tachlis, with no limit. Lichnois lefanav yisbarach, and it goes in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when you do a mitzvah in this world, plant a seed sprouts, grows into a beanstalk, which flies and carries itself all the way up through the clouds into the shamayim, and it's there where the fruit can be picked. Kilu. Bokeya, it breaks through. Bokeya chaloynei rakia. Bokeya chaloynei rakia. Bokeya. Ba'ola adein tachlis lichnois lefanav yisbarach. The mitzvah comes before Hashem. That's mitzvahs. Amnam ha'avonos ein lahem knisa sham. This is not the same thing that happens with averos. Chas v'shalom. If a person does an avera, and that's why I use the word bonsai. Bonsai, right? That Japanese treatment of plants is where you stifle the growth so it remains small, and the whole palm tree and everything grows, but it grows b'katan. So you have a situation of an avera. It doesn't grow up through the clouds, it stays here in this world. Tidichiv lo yagurcha ra, that's the pasuk in Tilim, and the Chazal say lo yagur bimgurcha ra. It's pashut that in Shamayim is a place of toiv, so averas have no place in Shamayim. Maybe the way to look at this is that, welcome. Maybe the way to look at it is that, when a person does a mitzvah, the etzem maisa is a maisa nitzchi. There's an eternity to their. You put on tefillin this morning. So the tefillin has a nitzchias to it. It has a certain eternity to it. It's not just what you're doing in this world. You're creating something which is nitzchias. And avera, by definition, doesn't have a nitzchias because an avera is klipa. It's about chitzonius. It's about a taiva. It's about something that's going on in olam hazeh. So it's have to do with olam haba. It has nothing to do with olam haba. So, like a person, God forbid, steals money. One person from the other steals money. So your hana was in olam hazeh. The hezek is in olam hazeh. It's an olam hazeh the gezach.
Isn't the effect though? By definition, Haber is not mitzvah, so therefore should have a negative effect also last.
So he's told this is the side that it doesn't, because it's not chashuv enough to get into shamayim. Doesn't mean that it goes down, it grows down, but it doesn't mean that it grows up. It doesn't get into. See, what we have to understand is, like, we're so conditioned to heaven and hell. This is something different. It doesn't. It's not chashuv enough to go. It's not a fruit that's brought lifnei hamelech. Im kain, ein ha'avain nichnas pnima. So the avain does not go pnima. Umitam zeh, so let's just get through the paragraph, and I want to try to explain something. Umitam zeh schar mitzvah b'ha'al maleka. That's why you can't have schar mitzvah b'ha'al. You have to pick these fruit above the clouds. You have to pick these fruit in the Chatzir HaShamayim in Olam Haba. It's pashut like it doesn't start growing until it's up at the top. So in this world you don't get it. It's like one of those palm trees first starts growing stuff all the way up. You need to get way up high. U'pitam zeh schar mitzvah b'ha'al maleka. Mipnei she'em lefonav yisparach. That's up in front of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. V'heich yiten lo yimashu lefonav schar ruchani b'olam gashmi. Once it's in Shemayim, it means that it's already in a bechina of ruchnius. No gashmius in Shemayim. So now, if it's in a bechina of ruchnius, how can it possibly go? How can you have enough from it in this world? So that's the words. Schar mitzvah achas is better than kol tanugei olam hazeh. This is the Gemara. Kol chaye olam hazeh. Kol tanugei olam hazeh. Two lashonos in the Gemara. You can't fit ruchnius into a gashmis keli. Pour me a cup of ruchnius. It doesn't work. So it's out of this world. It's beyond anything that we can even comprehend. That's one mitzvah. Mipnei she'em lefonav yisbarach, eich yiten lo yimashu lefonav schar ruchani b'olam gashmi. Arei kol ha'olam eini kedai l'mitzvah achas l'karis ruach asher lefonav. So that's a karis ruach that the Gemara is speaking about.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. So what's the Einish?
We're going to get to the
Trying to
Einish.
comprehend, maybe not time.
We didn't learn it yet. We're learning what schar. Why are you comprehending Einish? No, why do you think Einish? We're talking about schar.
Because it what you said, so...
Harei.
It's
Gedult. Arei kol ha'olam eini kedai l'mitzvah achas l'karis ruach asher lefonav. Mitam zeh, and therefore, lo yikach shoichad shel mitzvahs. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't take a shoichad of mitzvahs. Hamoshel b'zeh, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu omer asar boy mitzvahs v'eser averis nishur shloshim mitzvahs yelcha aser b'eser. Mitzvahs don't cancel, averis don't cancel out mitzvahs. Why is that called a shoichad? Why is it called a shochad? So the shochad means, let's say a person, God forbid, we're touching on nervy topics here. Let's say a person, God forbid, is suffering terribly in this world. So a person is, God forbid, in a concentration camp, suffering, and we have no concept of what it means to suffer, right? People suffer. So the person could say, look, I did a lot of mitzvahs. Take one of those mitzvahs and get me out of this place. Let me out of hell. I did a mitzvah. I gave tzedakah. I did things, right? Which I'm sure was a common thing to say. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's easy to be a philosopher about this, but that's all I'm being here. Says the Kadosh Baruch Hu, bad deal. You want to give up your mitzvah of tzedakah to be out of here? You want me to change the din around because you did a mitzvah? I would do it, but it's a bad deal. Why would you want to give away something which is nitzchias in eternity to get out of immediate pain? Well, the answer is because I'm in immediate pain. So, and maybe the answer is we don't completely believe, like a bird in the hand is two in the bush, right? So like we have right now, I'm in pain, get me out of pain. So it would be natural to say, how about this mitzvah, how about that mitzvah, b'schus this, b'schus that. That would be a shochat to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, okay, like a judge is about to say, okay, death penalty, and you slip him 100. Slip him 1,000, slip him 1,000,000. I want to live. That's a good deal. but this is a bad deal because so HaKadosh Baruch Hu does us a favor. It's not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so ethical. I mean, I'm sure he is, but it's not about the ethics of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's about the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he doesn't allow us to do what we would want to do, which was to bribe Hashem with our mitzvahs. Mitzvahs, lachut. Avera he did lachut. Mitamza lo yikach shoichat al mitzvahs. So we don't say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu in his chesed does not say, you did 40 mitzvahs. Interesting, he picks 40. You did 40 mitzvahs. Let's pay attention to Asar Arboim mitzvahs, be'eser averis. So, okay, we'll give you schar for 30 mitzvahs. Enough eternity. I have 30 mitzvahs. Enough eternity. Enough schar. Give me something in this world. No, not going to do it. Not going to take schar. Filu tzadik gamor. So therefore, even a tzaddik gomer ba'asa avera achas doime lefonav kilos arafas haTorah. Ad shiratza choiva, you have to take care of that choiva. Achach yikaber schar kol mitzvahs. Your mitzvahs don't help you for your averos, which is why I explained on Monday or Sunday, whatever, that The Rambam says a person should see himself, in Hilchos Tshuva, the Rambam says a person should see himself half-half. Half mitzvahs, half averos. So what should you do, says the Rambam? Do tshuva and tilt the scale. Why do tshuva? Do any mitzvah. Put a penny in the pushka. You tilted the scale. If I'm half-half, you tilted the scale. We have to learn more about that in a minute. But what he's saying is that it's not about tilting the scale, per se. It's dafka tshuva.
It's about who you are.
Dafka tshuva. Let's focus here for a second as follows. So therefore, a person gets his onesh. This is the chesed, to get your onesh in this world. That's the chesed, that you get the onesh in this world. Take care of it. Just take care of it. And that way you'll have tov in the ever after. It makes some sense, except that it hurts. It makes some sense, right? Let me just pull out the tooth. Just pull out the tooth, you'll have a life of nachas. Like why do you have to suffer and suffer and suffer? Go through the 1 minute of pain, kilo, the temporal pain, and but the averos. What happened to those averos? Now the chap here is the next really sentence, which is really I want to get into for a second. V'zeh chesed gadol, this chesed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not let the averos cancel out the mitzvos. Zeh chesed gadol shows HaKadosh Baruch Hu im tzadikim. Not everybody is ocha to this. This is only with tzadikim. She'einoi menake, that he doesn't take away the mitzvos from the averos. Mipnei she'amitzvos chashuvos ma'od, because mitzvos of a tzaddik are particularly chashuv. U'misaulos alif levanav yisbarach, and those mitzvos go and stand. Those are the fruit that are standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Heichirake ben b'shel averos.
Is because they're more chashuv to the tzaddik, or just because they're objectively more chashuv?
Tzaddik. So what's the no? In other words, the tzaddik's mitzvahs. The tzaddik, if you're a tzaddik, which we need to define, so then your mitzvahs don't get canceled out by your averos. Let's say you're a Russia and you do a mitzvah. Let's say a Russia does a mitzvah. Every Russia does a mitzvah. As I mentioned this last week, it was just important to put this on the table. That, like, we like things in black and white. He's good, he's bad. It's not so simple. Everybody has good parts to them. Everybody has bad parts to them. Everybody. I haven't yet met a person that doesn't have a chasar. Even big people don't have a chasar. And I personally haven't met anybody that doesn't get a milo. Sometimes hard to find, but everybody has some milo. So there is good and there is bad here. The only thing is that the tzaddik is mostly good, and the Russia is mostly bad. That's how the Rambam defines a tzaddik. The Rambam defines a tzaddik. What's a tzaddik? A tzaddik is, now it sounds very harsh. If the majority of your ma'asim are toy,
51%.
yeah, 51%, like you say, okay, you're tzaddik. And now you go into this process here. If most of what you are is Russia, so now we have a problem. The problem is that you did something good. So the only thing that can help is tshuva. You see, let me just give a mashal, then we'll look at it inside the Gemara. But the mashal is that, let's say somebody is like your really best friend, and they're always there for you, and they're good to you, and you have a wonderful wife. Let's say, wife has a wonderful husband. They do something wrong. Okay, did something wrong. So we got to deal with the one thing that you did wrong. But basically, you're my friend. So we'll do something with the ra. We'll do something with it. Either decide to forget about it, or But let's say somebody who's completely ra. They've hurt me. They offended me. They hurt my children. They hurt everything. They're really bad people. A really bad person. And now they come and they give me a gift, Hanukkah time. So I don't even want that gift. But I'm a mensch. So I take the gift. I don't want the gift. Why are you giving me a gift? Kilo, you're I don't want, but I'm a mensch. So what do? Okay, thank you. Like I give a terse thank you. It doesn't reach my heart. So whether a mitzvah of a Russia does something good, but his relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bad, so what's that gift? What is that? This is a little bit contrary to what we're used to hearing in the world of chesed. But let's just think about it for a second. What? So I have to do something with that toiv. Toiv is toiv. Did something good. So what am I going to do with that toiv? I'll give you some schar in this world. How can it be? The toiv doesn't go. The toiv goes as a tree that's eternal. It goes. So the answer is that's only talking about if you're a tzaddik. Maybe it's a different quality of a mitzvah. It was only talking about if you're a tzaddik. So let me just show you the same sort of concept with the Derech Hashem, the Rav Chal. We looked this together here at night once. The Rav Chal says as follows, in his beautiful, easy to understand language. He says, Hagmul ha'amiti v'ikariya ba'olam haba. Schar is an olam haba. K'moshe zachar. V'yeh ha'sachar, hishor ha'adam ha'zochen nitzchi li'stapkus ba'yisbarach l'natzach. So the schar that a person gets is there for all eternity. V'ha'onash, and the onesh that one gets, God forbid, ha'yosam nidcha me'atov ha'amiti v'oved. It has nothing to do with the Tova Amiti. Amnam hadinja, but that's exactly what the Talmud Torah just told us. Amnam, and then he adds this piece. Din le'inyan zeh la'yeh al pi rov ha'maiseh. It goes by rov, like the Rambam says. It goes by serov. Ach l'maisim tovim asher l'rasha, but a rasha who's defined by the Rambam and by Chazal, it's Gemara, as a person who's mostly bad. So that person doesn't have. So a person achlomaisim tovim, but he does a ma'isa tov. He did something good. Asher l'rasha u'lemaisim haroyim asher l'tzadikim al tzad hamiyut yimatzei olam hazeh ba'atzal choysa v'tzaroisa. So it's like this: the majority is dealt with in olam haba. The minority, the miyut, is dealt with in olam hazeh. So for a tzaddik, you're dealt with in olam hazeh. What are you going to do with your ra? So there's Yisurim and Olam Hazeh. For a Rasha, this is your rov. So therefore, your rov is an Olam is an Olam Haba, because that's where the rov goes. That's what you really are. That's what you really are, as you said. So what are we going to do with your tov? Olam Hazeh. So Olam Hazeh is good for the it's good for the small stuff. For the tzaddik, the small stuff is yisurim. For the Rasha, the small stuff is schar. So olam hafach, you see. Everything's upside down. This world is just all about the small stuff. So the small stuff for the tzaddik is the ra, and for the Rasha is the tov. Hence, the Rasha is having yisurim, and the tzaddik is having schar, and the tzaddik is having yisurim. Go figure. But why? Because this is all about the miyut. See, when it comes to rov, so there's two kinds of rov. Just like let's be lamdanim here for a second. One rov is like bittul b'shishim, a bittul b'rov. So there's a rov which completely does away with the ra. Kilu, like this is what you are. And there's another rov which is a birur. Teisha chanuyos. There's two kinds of rov. So let's understand. So the Gemara, we'll get back to the Ramchal in a second. Yimatzei olam hazeh b'atzlachaisa v'tzaroisav sheba yikabel. It's in this world. Sheba yikabel, says the Ramchal, and say harasha gemul miyut haschus aser loy b'atzlachaisa. V'hatzadik will get in this world. That's what this world is all about. Oynesh avinaisav b'yisurim sheba. Get it over with. Ba'ofen sheyushlam hamishpat bakol. So by the time everybody gets to Shemayim, we got a clear slate here, meaning the tzaddik doesn't have to worry about his aveirus, and the Rasha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, doesn't have to worry about his mitzvahs. I paid you for that already. That's it. So that's defined by the rov. So now in Olam Haba, HaKadosh Baruch Hu take care of business with the rov. This is old and it's new, no? It's like a new, the high new. Shisharu at tzadikim levadam. Now what happens is that the tzadikim come to Olam Haba levadam beli ta'aroves royim beinehem. There's no rishayim and there's no maisim royim. Like the Talmud Devorah said, lo yagurcha ra. There's no ra. Mehem beli ikuvam ba'atzmam lahana mutedas lahem. You're free. You paid your tax. You paid. Rishayim Yidachu v'yoivdu b'lishi yishar lem tainu klal. And Rishayim say, hey, but what about this mitzvah? What about that mitzvah? I paid you for that mitzvah. Now go to hell.
How does it work? I don't understand. You're saying you're saying it's nitzri. Then with the tzaka rosh, you can't take care of business in this one. Period. It's nitzri. So no matter how good or bad you did, the good cannot be paid.
So now we're having a caveat to that, which is a chiddush nifla, and that is that, but first there's a din of a rov. In other words, you can take care of a mitzvah in this world if the rov is ra. So you could either say that it's lacking in the qualitative good of the mitzvah, but I would say something different. That the pshat is, what's more mashma is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like you. I created you. You didn't fulfill your tachlis in this world. So what are you giving me mitzvahs? It doesn't have eternity. The only time a gift can have eternity, the only time if I give you a gift that has eternity, if we love each other. If we hate each other, then the gift means nothing. It's just I remember, like when I was a kid, I remember watching on television that I think it was Brezhnev, who was the prime minister of the Soviet Union. He met the president of the United States, whoever it was, Kennedy maybe, and I remember they hugged each other, they kissed each other. So I remember saying to my father, I said, why are they kissing each other? Like arch enemies. He says, no, that means they hate each other. That's really that's the simon. That's like the simon muvhak that they hate each other. Really? Okay, but yeah.
And this other mechanism, what I was saying is because of whether it's a Cordovero or lack of Haber. Wouldn't the mechanism then be activated by ourselves? In other words, if we're living for nitzchias, if our choices are for nitzchias, and we're saying that.
Okay, you're adding a good piece, and that's what you want. You want your gashmis. You're all about gashmis, so you get your schar in this world. Nice. Okay, yafa. But however, like it's not. What we're saying now makes more sense than any other way. It makes perfect sense. Why should? I mean, just think about everything in our own lives. Why should the Russia have nitzchias and olam haba if you're a bad person? You lived a bad person. So we like to think they did some good stuff. Okay, you get some good stuff. But now, there's a big difference here. Let me just say one more. I'm sorry, there's one thing that changes everything. Here's the deal changer. The deal changer is tshuva. And that's what I started saying with the Rambam. Because even if the Rasha did only one mitzvah, or didn't know mitzvah, 0, and he did only Ra, so now, and then he does tshuva, so here the Gemara tells us, Yesh koina olamai b'sha'ah achas. What does that help? The answer is because now you're not a Rasha. In other words, tshuva takes away the rov, because the whole thing that the rov is here to paskin is not how many things I did, how many things I didn't do, but what are my. So you know what paskin's even more than how many things I've done, how many things I didn't, is I do tshuva. So tshuva means I'm sincerely coming close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you can, and in 1 second, a person can develop that closeness. So that's the deal breaker over here. So normally without tshuva, it goes right, and that's why the Rambam says probably that a person, if you're half, yes, do one mitzvah maybe, but if you do tshuva, so now that whole din doesn't apply to you. So here's the you know the story I was thinking about yesterday with this a beautiful you can watch it online, beautiful hesped that Rav Reuben, Shlit'a, and Harnov said on a Druze policeman, besides the Kiddush Hashem, just he said a beautiful hesped. But I was thinking to myself, what a position to be in, to be standing in a Druze village, and to say a hesped, a Rav saying a hesped on it. But there's so just to tell you what I was saying. I'll tell my hesped because it's no gay here. The Gemara tells a story of Katia Bar Shalom. The Gemara Avodah Zarah Daf Yud Beis, I think it is. Katia Bar Shalom, a Roman guy. Katia Bar Shalom, Roman. As far as we know, he was not a good person all his life. He was a Roman. Did what Romans do. At the time when the Roman occupation of Israel, and they were torturing Jews.
He was a Jewish Roman.
What?
A Jewish Roman.
He wasn't Jewish.
Oh,
No, that was a fake name. It was his nickname, Katia Bar Shalom. That's what we call him. So the Gemara says a story that this Roman guy was sitting in the parliament. He was a parliamentarian, and there was a gzeira Maves to the Jews, where this was a big paradigm shift because they were torturing Jews, they were taking them out of their houses, they were sending them into Golos, they weren't killing Jews. But it wasn't about the final solution. So the Roman Prime Minister of Israel said, "You've got to kill Jews. There's no choice but to kill Jews." He stuck up for the Jews in the parliament, and he said, "It's not kedai to kill Jews. The whole economy will fail. Everything here will fail if you kill the Jews." That's what he said. And there the Gemara says a gewaltige Zach that in Roman law, tradition Roman law, the governor told them, "Yes, you're right. That's true. We shouldn't kill the Jews. They saved the Jews. But mishazacha b'malka chava b'malka. Because you went up me, we have to kill you now." You're not allowed to say something smarter than the so they killed him. So as they killed him, this Gemara is like so much of what we're talking about over here. As they killed him, so here's a guy who died and he saved the Jewish people. He died and saved for the Jewish people. I presume he knew he would die for the Jewish people. A Paschal came out, says the Gemara, and says, and this is our case over here, Vayla ilfa de layavi le'nichsa, says the Gemara. Woe unto the ship that has not paid its tax. Imagine a ship full of goods standing in Ashdod, $100 million worth of equipment, iPhone 6, and it can't come in to the shore because it didn't pay its duty. Whatever crazy it is, $100,000, whatever crazy it is, but it's not worth it. What are you going to do? Sink the boat? It's silly. So says Rashi that here this Kediyah Bar Shalom Chaval, he didn't have a bris milah because Avram Avinu is Yoshev al Pesach Gan Eden, doesn't let somebody in with a bris milah. He heard this Paschal, says the Gemara. Since he heard the Paschal, it says Nafal al Reishadar, Lasai did a belly flop, and he says Yavi Michsi, I brought my mechas, I paid. So all the Lamdanim asked, but he didn't do Kriya, and he didn't do Geirus, and he didn't do Tavila, and he didn't do Beseder. He did enough. Bas Kol came out and said, Ketiyah Bar Shalom is Zochet Olam Haba. He's a Ben Olam Haba. So 1 second. So now, fast forward 200 years, when Rebbe heard the story, Hayabocha, Rebbe cried. It was a story that came to him, and he cried, and he said, Yesh Konai Lamai B'Shah Achas. It's possible to be Kona your world to Olam Haba in one moment. So what's the pshat of Kona your Olam Haba? You showed what you are. Most people takes a whole life to have a rove to show who they are. This man showed who he was in 1 second. He showed his real, true inner key. It doesn't make any difference how many Averas he did. I mean,
his Averas become
they
mitzvahs.
become. That's the pshat. Nasik is chuyes. His Averas became mitzvahs for sure. And you showed your true self. Now, what happens to the Averas that you did? Do they become? I don't know. He got killed. He suffered. They killed him in a boiling pot of hot oil. So he certainly got his suffering. But the point is, for the Nitzchias Shabbai, this is what Rebbe was crying, that it's all about, really it's all about Roiv, like the Ramchal says, except for the deal breaker, which is tshuva. And tshuva, why? Because tshuva means, I'll take your gift now, because we have a relationship. And without the tshuva, and that's what the Rambam says you have to do tshuva. Without the tshuva, so what are you giving me? What's this mitzvah? What is it? So either you can say it's a mitzvah shalom l'shmor, you can say, like, we don't have the relationship that you could be giving me a mitzvah right now. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. So what do you bring me gifts? You're hurting me, you're talking lashon hara about me, you're going against me, you're bringing me a gift. What are you talking about? So let me just share, that's what the Ramchal says. In my opinion, that's the hesped here. That you can be kodo elah by b'shachas. You showed your real self. That's what a hero is. You showed your real self. At the time when push comes to shove, this is what you are. The Gemara says as follows. The famous Gemara in Erechid Tazayin Amud Beis. So let's learn it real quickly together. We have a few minutes. Ad heichen tachlos yisurim. What are called yisurim? Now, the context of the Gemara is we're talking about a tzaddik getting his yisurim in this world. If you don't do any averis, then you don't have to have any yisurim. But most people ain't tzaddik bar it's asher yasa tova lo yachta. So the Gemara says, just before I get to this, the Gemara says that Rabbi Kiva went to visit his Rebbe, Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus, Gadol Adar, but he was in Cherem, Shamusi Hay. He was in Cherem, and he was in pain. He was sick. He was at the end of his life and he was in a lot of pain. And Rabbi Akiva said, they all said, oy, 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 the pain. And Rabbi Akiva said, Baruch Hashem, you have Yisurim. It sounds cruel to say such a thing. Baruch Hashem, you have Yisurim. So they said, how could you, this is Rabbi Akiva always flipping everything around, right? So they said to him, how could you even say such a thing about the Rabbi? So he said, look, at least he's getting he's getting rid of his averos in this world. So they asked him, how could you say such a thing about Rabbi Elazar ben Hurkanes? So he said, Ein tzadik baretz asher ya'aseh tov v'lo yachta. And Maharsha says the chet was that he went against Beis Hillel. That was his chet. He went like Beis Shammai. He listened to the wrong rabbi. Lishkefel, the Halavai Dutch Be'er. He listened to the wrong Gedol. But that was his chet. So Rabbi Akiva, who had like a deep insight, himself died v'Yisur. He had like a deeper, more a nitzchi havana of the situation that was going on, which made it difficult for him to have rachmanis. I'm sorry.
Should we be upset if we have schar in this world?
So here's the Gemara. Exactly right. You're right with me. At Heichen Tachlis Yisur, let's understand that. Abba Rebbe Elazar. Let's have examples of what's called Yisur. Kol she'argu like beged lil b'shveina miskabel Allah. These are the greatest minds in the world, in history. Look what they're talking about. What's called annoying? Give me examples of annoying. Kol she'argu like beged lil b'shveina miskabel. You go to the tailor 5 times, he fits you, he measures you, he fits you, gives you the finished product and it doesn't fit. Give me a break. That's Yisurim. For Rabbi Elazar, that was like, whoa. Baskif lo Rabbi Zeir, Rabbi Taber, Rabbi Shul Bar Nachmani, Gedoyle Bizu Amru. That's your example of Yisur. Look at the conversation. What about this? Chazal said earlier, Afilu diskavnu limzog loy b'chabed umazgu loy b'tzoynei. Ever happened to you? You put coffee in your cup, you put sugar in your cup, you put everything, and then you put cold water in by accident. Well, it's the worst thing in the world, right? So that's
salt
instead of sugar, right? So Iskavnu limzog, that's Yisurim. That's real Yisurim. Okay. Kulahai. So he says, okay, you want to do that? I says, I have a better one. May mar breder of dimi amar afil nebach loy chalukai. You get up in the morning, you're so tired, you can hardly open up and you put your undershirt on inside out. Give out the whole davening. You're like, what did I do? That's annoying. Who would think that they would even think of Rabbi Omar v'Tamer of Chista v'Tamer of Yitzchak v'Amar lo b'mas Nisan Tana. This is the most famous one for some reason. Afilu hashid yadai lakis litel shalosh v'alo b'yadai shtayim. Let's say you go to your pocket to take out some money. You want to take out 3 coins and you took out 2 by accident. Oh, now I got to go back into my pocket. Pockets were more hidden in the old days, but you got to go back into your pocket, get another shekel. So you took out 2 shekels instead of 3 shekels. That's Yisurim. Frank the Gemara, what about if you took out 3 instead of 2? Shtayim v'alo shalosh loy. Why? First of all, all you have to do is put it back. Second of all, it's always good to take out more money. Like more money feels good, right? So what's all this about? Frank the Gemara, what's all this about? What are they measuring? What's more annoying? What can you imagine like you're sitting in the base medrash of the Gedolei Hador, they're talking about what gets on your nerves. By the way, like if I was writing this Gemara, 10 blot. I get a 10 blot easy, I can do, I won't start. Kol kach lama, what was the Nakuda here? The Tanit Dvei Rabbi Yishmael. What they were talking about here was what they said in the years earlier, Tanit Dvei Rabbi Yishmael. Unbelievable. Kol sha'avru alav arba'im yom b'lo yisurim ki b'lo lamhoi. Because Rabbi Yishmael, in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael, they taught that if somebody goes 40 days of life on this world, there's our 40. You have 40 days of life in this world. This is the 40 going to the coastal and the 40 doing, And you have no yisurim, bliss, right? Your everything goes well for 40 days straight. So says the Gemara, start to worry, kibel alamai. It means that you just got all your olam haba. So, things go too well for 40 days straight. You start to worry. don't worry, didn't you ever put your shirt on backwards? You don't have to worry, you never got cold water instead of hot water? Meaning, Yisurim, they were trying to minimize the amount of what's called Yisurim so that there should never be a case where we're thinking that we're Kibul Alamai Bahayam. That's the pshat in the Gemara. And the 40 is so meduyik because the 40 days, that's Yitzir Savlad, is 40 days. It takes 40 days for a human being to create, and the 40th day is the day of the neshama, which is why the 40th day of the Yitzir Savlad, when a woman conceives, 40th day is the neshama, which is why when one gets makas chas v'shalom, it's our boy in chosar achas. 40 minus the 1 day of the neshama, and lamitas malachas, our boy in chosar achas. It's all connected, but the point of this is that, like Kibul Alamai, Rashi says, Kibul Alamai ve'ein loy chelek lo'olam haba. Unbelievable. So a person goes 40 days. So this is why Rabbi Akiva said to his Rabbi Elazar ben Hurkanus, Baruch Hashem, like Bir Gemeint, that everything is wonderful for you. Baruch Hashem, you have some Yisur, means you're a ben olam haba. Hard to accept this, but this
Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai for 40 days. What is that?
Lechem lo yachalti, Mayim lo shasisa, and he spoke about it. He was hungry. He was hungry. Moshe Rabbeinu was full of Yisur. His life with David HaMelech was full of Yisur. The Tzaddik Rabbi Elazar ben Hurkanus was full of Yisur. Rabbi Akiva was full of Yisur. There was no matzav of no Yisur. But what are those Yisur? The perspective is, things are wonderful. Wow, it's wonderful. Like I live in Miami now. Like it's wonderful. But if you have 40 days without a headache, then it's time to start worrying. It's such a this is not a fatalist mentality. This is real life. Like Baruch Hashem, getting one here. So all of a sudden, there's a certain simcha in the Yisurim, but what that means is that it means that I'm a tzaddik, could mean anyways, that I'm a tzaddik and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to get this stuff out of the way. Vashenkin in Russia, so according to the Ramchal, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a reverse problem. The reverse problem is, like I have to take. So the Russia that has Yisurim, it means HaKadosh, it's a good sign for him. But if Russia has toy for 40 days, says the Gemara Beforish, has toy for 40 days. The Gemara says Hashabus Hachekes Loi Shiny. If things are going good for him, leave him alone. He's getting his schar. Rashi says in Brachos, he's getting his schar in Olam Hazeh. Don't mess with him. Right now, he's in the middle of his Olam Haba. Don't bother him. He's getting his own. Let him get the Olam Haba, and as David HaMelech says, "Al Takana boys have." There's nothing to be jealous about over here. He's got his few moments in the spot just because the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants to get rid of him. So that's how the Gemara learns this here. Just 2 minutes to prepare for the conclusion of this, which is next time. I read the story. This is Chaim Shulevitz. Chaim Shulevitz, he speaks about this Gemara, but he says about the theme here of this particular essay is that a person needs a Rebbe. He talks about this Gemara that I just mentioned, the Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said this, what happened? Kishachala Rabbi Elazar nichnasu arba zakenim levakroi. The 4 Gedolei Adar came to visit. This is the story that I'm telling you. Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Shua, Rabbi Elazar, Ben Azarian, Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Tarfon said to him, it was at the end of his life, Rabbi Elazar, been working this. Toivatoli Yisrael Yosir mitipa shel geshamin. Rabbi Shua said, Toivatoli Yisrael Yosir migalgal chama. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, Toivatoli Yisrael Yosir miyavein. They were Mishabeach the Gadol Adar. Amar Rabbi Akiva Chavivin Yisurim. Amar Rabbi Elazar Samchuni ve'eshma divrei Rabbi Akiva she'amar Chaviva Yisurim. Amar Akiva zu minayin l'cha. Amar la mikra ani darish ben shtemes reishana menashem b'malchai v'yaseh Rabbeinu Hashem. And he said a whole drasha about how Yisurim, it's good that he's having Yisurim. The way to understand it is according to the Gemara. But he says here, this caught my attention. He says here a story as follows. He says, Maisa Mesuper al Gain Echad one of the Gedolim, I don't know who, doesn't say who he is, one of the Gedolim, apparently, who lives in our generation or his generation, Hitzia Labitoi, somebody read a shidduch for his daughter, Echad Mina Gedolim. So, worked out, right? Gadol, and somebody had a daughter, and somebody read a shidduch of the daughter of a Gadol, or of a Gadol himself, right? So a Gadol to a daughter. Harabanis, the Rabbanit, he's Nagdil shidduch. The Rebbitzin of the Gadol, of the Gaon, was against the shidduch. Why? Ki haya chasen selea baraglai. Because the chasen, the Gadol, the Medubar, said he was limping. And she didn't like the fact that he's limping. This is a real story, but this is actually happened. So she broke off the shidduch. He's limping, so the father's a hepatist. The Gadol, like, huge Talmud Chacham, he limps. Okay, so this was a... Over Zman Kotzer, some time passed, and Ira, Shibashashi Gisha Baboker, Kos Chalav Labala Hagoin. So the Rebbitzin was bringing her husband, the Gadol, the Gaon, she was bringing him a cup of hot milk in the morning. A cup of coffee. Okay. Mo'adon, as she was bringing it to him, she tripped. V'shavra es ragla. And she broke her leg. Netzah Rabbanis V'amra. So the Rabbanit, laying on the floor, she tripped, she broke her leg. She says, Mina shamayim nanashti. I got an onesh from a shamayim. For what? Al shenasati labali lishtois lifnei hatfilah. Because I brought my husband a cup of coffee before the davening. So he writes in parentheses, the doctor told him he should drink before. Yeah. Okay. What a story, right? Tachloi now mirois. How sad, says Ruchaim Shulevich, that this woman didn't realize, she didn't see. Kinan Shemida Kedeged Mida, it was so obvious that you broke off a shidduch with a tzaddik, with a gadol, because he lives, so that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I don't even know how to understand this. The reason why she had this, because she messed up the shidduch. She wasn't able to see that. Person can't see their own negav. As Yisurim, whom mahapich l'kavan acheres. Yes, she has Yisurim. My husband's fault. He told me to bring me coffee. So says Ruchai Shlomo, a person needs a good rav, lilbard hibenu tyrus hayisur. A person has to learn to be the kedeged bita. Don't look at me, I'm very mad at this. I don't. But there's such a thing as being able to. Apparently, Ruchai Shlomo was able to see a mita kedeged mita. I'm just saying. So the shot is that the Yisurim in this world. The shot is that the Rav was a tzaddik. The Rabbanus was a tzaddik. Everybody's thinking good, but there's a mida keneged mida that there has to be some kind of an oidish in this world. Now, he's very at a different point, which is like some people get it and some people don't. So what he's saying is this is the ultimate in not getting it. I read a story someplace that somebody, Chassan and Kala, they got married and they got opening up all the envelopes with the wedding gifts and some svarf and a cousin that they never talk about or they never hear about, and they sent him an invitation, and he sent a check for $100,000 gift to the to show like $100,000 gift, to walk out the 18s and the 36s, and here's a $100,000 gift from this relative, and the Kala says he didn't even send a card. Okay. This is like the ultimate not getting it. You got to get it. So this is where we need to go. But okay, so we're getting a mahalach in Yisurim, and then we'll take where does that go for us? And then on the